Oh hi, I'm Oscar from Grain and Grape, and when it comes to fermenting a fresh wort kit, this is how it's done. So what exactly is wort? It's probably one of the first words you'll hear mentioned when you start learning about home brewing. Wort is the sugary liquid extracted from malted grains that make up the bedrock of all beer. Hops are added for bitterness, flavour and aroma, and then yeast is added, which ferments the wort, and the end result is beer. It does get a bit more complicated than that, but for now let's just stick to the basics. Wort comes in various forms. You can make it yourself as part of all grain brewing, but when starting out, most people choose to buy it pre-made in cans or fresh wort kits. You may have memories of your granddad brewing in the garage with cans during those hot Australian summers, and while you can make perfectly good beer with them, the wort inside has been reduced down to a syrup. Some people find that this process takes away some of the more subtle flavours associated with good beer. We make all our fresh wort kits here at Grain and Grape on our 500 litre Brewmeister brewing system. So essentially, the result you get is like if you made it from all grain yourself, with way less effort. So how do I make beer from a fresh wort kit? Well, I'm glad you asked. Most of our fresh wort kits are designed to be diluted with 3 litres of water, making about a 19 litre batch of beer. Check the instructions on the label or ask one of our staff if you're unsure. So what you do is you boil the 3 litres of water to sanitise it, and if you're using unfiltered water, to boil off some of the chlorine. Proper sanitisation is a major key to successful brewing. Then cover your pot and let it cool to room temperature. Now, while we wait for the water to cool, we can get a few other steps out of the way. Lay all your gear out in front of you. This way you have enough space to work and keep track of everything. A good general tip is to make sure your surfaces around your brewing area are clean to avoid contaminants getting into your beer. Now, clean your fermenter of choice using the clean, rinse, sanitize regime. If your fermenter is new, assemble it and just clean the inside using a soft cloth and some detergent. Unscented is better. And then give it a really good rinse. If you're cleaning after fermentation, remove any gunk as thoroughly as possible. PBW or OxyClean are great unscented cleaners to get any stubborn bits. Make sure if you're using plastic that you use a soft cloth and not something that might scratch the surface, because that can end up harbouring bacteria. And don't forget to unscrew the tap from the fermenter and give it a good clean. Rinse out any leftover detergent with warm water. Prepare a few litres of sanitizer according to the directions on the label. Keep a spray bottle of sanitizer close by, it will come in handy. I also like to make up a separate jug for dunking spoons and stuff in. Coat all inner surfaces of the fermenter with sanitizer and pour some through the tap. You'll notice that the sanitizer foams, but don't worry, this is a good thing. Do not fear the foam. Once the fermenter is sanitized, don't rinse it. You can leave it on a clean surface to drain or put the lid on and it'll be fine until you're ready to fill it. You've probably got a packet of dry yeast with your fresh wort kit. Something like this. So now it's time to go rehydrate that bad boy. Pause me and go to the yeast rehydration video in the description. I'll wait, promise. So, your yeast is now awake and really wants to make some beer for you. But whoa there, cowboys, there's a few more things to sort out before you get to party. Now sanitize the top of the cube by spraying some sanitizer on it. And before you do anything, make sure the tap on the fermenter is closed. I know, sounds silly, but trust me, double check. Okay, so now the 3 litres of water we boiled earlier is cool. Now we can add it into the fermenter. Then, open the cube and pour the wort on top from a height and make sure it splashes around and gets plenty of oxygen. Early in fermentation, oxygen is good for yeast. It keeps them happy and healthy. For most beers you'll make, this vigorous pouring of the wort will be sufficient aeration for a healthy ferment. As your beers get stronger and your yeast get hungrier, you might want to look into introducing pure oxygen. We'll cover that in a separate video. Now that your wort is all shook up and ready to accept the yeast, it's time to see how much alcohol you're going to get out of it. To do this, we are going to use a tool called a hydrometer. This is one of the most important devices in a brewer's arsenal. Fill your hydrometer sample jar nearly to the top with wort from the fermenter tap. Place it on an even surface and pop your hydrometer in. Note down the numbers that it reads, something like 1.050. This is your starting gravity, and it's important to know how much fermentable sugar is in your wort. Also, jot down the date alongside the gravity reading. Make it a habit to take lots of notes. Check the links in the description for more information on why measuring gravity is important. Now that we have all those steps out of the way, we can finally let the yeast free. Go on, get out of here. Store your fermenter in a temperature-stable environment away from direct sunlight. Under a staircase or in a cupboard are good places to start. Ideally, most ale yeast like it at about 18 to 20 degrees, but depending on your house, this can be a challenge to control. If you want to start brewing good beer more regularly, you can use a fridge with a thermostat to precisely control the fermentation temperature. But let's not sweat about that for now. During fermentation is where things get weird. There will be foam, also known as kreuzen, weird smells, strange noises, and an overwhelming urge to open the lid of the fermenter. But just don't. Your beer is fine. Leave the fermenter to do its thing. After 5 days, you should see kreuzen subside and the airlock activity will decrease. It is now time to take our second gravity reading. Okay, cool. So now we can see the yeast has done its thing because the hydrometer is reading a lower number, around 1.010. We're going to leave it for another 2 days and check the gravity again. If the number is the same, then we can be pretty confident that primary fermentation is finished. If you are unsure about any of this, just give us a call at the shop. Primary fermentation can take slightly less than a week, but this doesn't always mean that it's finished. Once you are sure the final gravity is stable, we're going to wait for about another week and then bottle it. Don't trust the instructions on some homebrewing kits. Even though this seems like a long time to wait, it is important for the yeast to clean up some of the byproducts of fermentation, meaning you get a cleaner tasting beer. Once your beer is ready, you can bottle it using your preferred method. We will be making a bottling video, so check the description. Once the bottles are capped, store them in a warm, dark place to mature. Once again, around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius is ideal. The overall process, from fermenting your wort to having a cold beer in your glass, should take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. As you can see, the overall process is pretty simple, but there are a few steps that can trip you up. If you're unsure about anything we've discussed in this video, check the links below, or chat to one of our staff members. We are here to help. Keep an eye on our YouTube channel as we will be adding videos that go into more detail about the brewing process. Just search Grain and Grape Melbourne and hit the subscribe button. That way you'll never miss an update. You can also learn about the brewing process in person. We run free brewing demos most Saturday mornings from 9:30. No need to book, just come on down. Check our Facebook page for news and updates, or subscribe to our newsletter. This episode filmed entirely during work hours at Grain and Grape, with the rest of my co-workers looking on angrily, wishing they could do what I was doing, but they can't. Sucked in.